Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lancaster Criminal Justice Commission meeting agenda. We'll call this to order. Roll call.
Commission members Brown.
Present.
Carter. Harris.
Present.
Herr.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Present.
Vice Chairman Little.
Present.
Chairman Vieira. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Pledge allegiance, pledge allegiance. Jen, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? All stand, please.
Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Presentations, none. Let's public business from the floor. Any items that people would like to speak on that's agendized items may do so by filling out a card, passing it, and giving it to front. They'll get it to us, and you're limited to 3 minutes, and we welcome that. Consent calendar. We have approval of minutes, CC1, and we have approval of minutes of CC2. Has everyone had a chance to review and take a look? And any changes or concerns?
No.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve both minutes of July 13, 2016, CC1 and CC2.
I second.
Motion, approved. Oh, Lisa. That's okay. 5-0. Thank you. New business from the floor. MB1, discussion on an appointment of a member of the Criminal Justice to serve on a prison advisory board committee. So, any discussion? I know I was at City Council meeting last night. A great presentation from a district attorney from Ventura area, which brought a lot of light. Any discussion that the commission would like to partake and be a member of, or make a recommendation to the City Council as far as being a part of that? Yes.
Yes, I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. My name's John Hutak. I'm on the Citizens Advisory Committee for the prison. Have been off and on for a number of years since it opened back in '93. And it did come to our attention several meetings ago that we didn't have anyone representing the city of Lancaster on the advisory committee. And Palmdale City Council is represented, Steve Knight's office is represented, Tonovich's office is represented. I thought we need to get someone from the city on the Citizens Advisory Committee. And I spoke with Mike. I'm a reserve deputy also, and I spoke with our captain, Pat Nelson, regarding this, and he thought it would be a good idea as well. In fact, I might mention the warden, who is an acting warden right now. She's really, really a great lady and doing a superb job. She's reaching out to the community, and we are hosting the next advisory committee meeting at Lancaster Station. Captain Nelson is hosting that meeting on September 28th. So if somebody is chosen, it would be nice if they could be present for that meeting, and we'll provide them with all that information that they need.
Any questions for John? Any questions for John at all?
I believe it's 3 or 3:30, but I will definitely get that back to you.
How often do you meet?
Once a month.
Once a month?
Last Wednesday of the month.
Last Wednesday of the month?
They're somewhat kind during the summer. We don't meet quite as often, or during December. So.
And the meeting area is where?
Generally speaking, it's at the prison,
okay.
And there's provision made to getting the advisory member in the prison. We don't always get them out, but we do get them in.
Okay. So,
And what's the general concept of the advisory committee? I mean, what's its primary role?
Just serve as a liaison between the community and the prison itself. They provide us generally at the beginning of the meeting with a lot of data, the number of incidents that have occurred, the injuries both to staff and to inmates, new programs, how the programs are going. There's been a huge shift, as most of you know, in prisons, and it's all about reentry now, and they're doing a lot of things, running programs to prepare the inmate to go back into society and be successful there. And we also have the opportunity to present our concerns to the advisory board, and the warden is always there, and her assistants are there as well. And if we have any concerns, it gives the city and the community a voice as to what's going on in the prison. Am I leaving anything out? Lee was...
John got it. I've served on that in the past in different capacities. Currently, we're working with an FBI task force on prison gangs that we've had a couple meetings out there along with the district attorney, but it would be really good to have a representative at the regular meetings every monthly. And again, we go through a lot of ebb and flow as far as wardens.
Yes.
It seems to be a lot of transition, specifically throughout CDCR to have consistency. So our wardens move around quite a bit. So this is not the first time we've had a staff member act as in an acting position as the warden there, and that would be one thing we really need to probably address is consistency.
Yeah. That's correct. And we all have a role that we play on the advisory committee, or a title, if you will, and Captain Nelson has made me the representative of Lancaster Sheriff's Station, so I serve in that capacity.
well, I guess for us up here to consider something that we could send back to the city council for his recommendation is, as far as somebody on this commission that might be interested in taking a part of that. Any thoughts, any input?
I think it's a good thing to do. It's just I'm not sure about the time frame. When you say the last Wednesday of the month, is that a morning meeting? And I apologize if you stated that already.
Yeah, it's an afternoon meeting. It's 3:30.
Oh, okay, I thought that was the time. So the same time as this sheriff station event.
Yeah. Well, the sheriff, our captain, is hosting the advisory committee meeting
Okay, I see.
at the station. Just the first time that we've been off the prison grounds in quite a while. It's kind of a work release thing. No.
Or maybe, the commission should think about it, and anybody wants to put their hand in the hat.
I would love to do it, if I could. I do a lot of work already with the prison, with Priya.
Mhm.
So I need to, do the,
Yeah.
there, on a monthly basis, we're there a lot. So there's a lot of stuff that I do there already, with the prison for Priya. So I would be, I'm happy to represent.
A nice example of what's occurred just recently is the prison art program came up with a dozen just beautiful drawings that were silently auctioned off for the Grace Resource Center. Made them a lot of money. So the prison really is trying to reach out to the community.
With that, and I do believe that Lisa would be an excellent consideration to make a recommendation to the city council with your background. I think it would be fantastic, and barring everything else you have on your plate, that's, taking on something else. So I would feel comfortable in
Do we need a motion
do we
for
need
that?
a
or-
motion on that? Do we just make a recommendation that we'd love to have?
Make a motion and then to approve a recommendation to City Council that they appoint Ms. Rodriguez, and then we can put that on as a consent calendar item.
Okay, I'll make the motion for Lisa Rodriguez to be on the liaison committee with the prison system.
We're making a recommendation.
Oh, not a motion, just a recommendation.
We're
I
recommending to the
apologize.
city council, correct? And the city council will make that determination. Am I correct in that?
And I revise that to a recommendation.
I'll second it. Or Dr. Brown, you seconded it? Yes. Okay. All in favor? Dr. Brown?
Dr. Brown, you
You're
gotta
going to vote on that, Dr. Brown?
Oh, I thought I did. My apologies.
No. Okay, 5-0. A recommendation to the city council that Lisa puts in 80 hours a week now on her work schedule that she's already partaking in. So thanks, Lisa. Thank you so much.
I'll make sure she gets all the relevant information for the end of the month for that meeting coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, John. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Mr. Hutak.
Thank you so much. Let's see here. Is there a representative Lyndon, from the state prisons? No. Okay. All right. Moving forward, discussion on MB2, discussion on alcohol administrative ordinance and possible recommendation to the city council.
Can I move this up a little bit? Okay, no. All right. Good morning, Commission. My name is Toy Chisholm. I'm the assistant to the city manager, and I'm here to kind of give you a brief update in regards to what was brought to you in April of this year and to the city council in, or May, and to the city council in June regarding Ordinance 1013. As you know, there was a great discussion on Ordinance 1013, which specifically was in regard to certain restrictions of size and quantity of containers for alcoholic beverages. The purpose of that was specifically in regard to public safety. That goal and purpose has not changed in regard to the council meeting and the direction that we received at the June 14th meeting, which was to work with a committee who in response to their concerns over what those impacts and effects would be and have on them as retail establishments. The committee worked together. They are here today tirelessly and with a commitment to protect the general health, safety, and welfare and quality of life for Lancaster residents. That did not change. The commitment to prevent nuisance activities where alcoholic beverage sales occur did not change. It remained. The specific effort that we established, purpose for this effort was to protect the quality of life for all Lancaster residents from the public safety issues attributable to the sale of alcohol beverages, to provide opportunities for alcoholic beverage sales establishments to operate in a mutually beneficial relationship to each other and to other commercial and municipal services, to provide a mechanism to address problems associated with the public consumption of alcoholic beverages such as panhandling, harassment of our customers, drinking in public, fighting, loitering, public drunkenness, and public urination, to protect that alcohol beverage sales establishments are not to become the source of undue public nuisance in the community, and to provide for properly maintained establishments so that the secondary effects of negative impacts generated by these activities on the surrounding environment are mitigated, to promote a healthy and safe business environment in the city of Lancaster, and to encourage the maintenance and establishment of businesses that will benefit both the local economy and residents while not placing an undue strain on city resources or surrounding businesses, to provide a guide to new businesses providing practical solutions that are effective and not a burden for the business or other businesses. I share those with you because I want you to know that we acknowledge the issues often surrounding alcohol establishments, but staff, the committee, in working with Councilmember Molly, we also recognize that there is a benefit to having positive businesses in town, and we wanted to focus more on the business environment, making sure that it was indeed being a good resident, if you will, in the city of Lancaster. one of the things that we talked about was operating standards and best practices for alcohol establishments. The purpose of that was to serve as appropriate safeguards to ensure establishments do not result in adverse effects to jeopardize or endanger the health, peace, or safety of the persons residing or working in the surrounding area, that they do not result in repeated nuisance activities within the premises or in close proximity to the premises, that they comply with all provisions of local, state, and federal laws, regulations, and orders, that the upkeep and operating characteristics are compatible and will not adversely affect the livability or appropriate development of abutting properties, the surrounding neighborhood and community, and they have a place and appropriate measures to deal with and respond to public nuisance concerns and complaints. And much of the discussion was in regard to not necessarily limiting what could be sold, but putting the responsibility on the business owner and making the business owner accountable. Throughout the process, we had public safety come in and speak with us and the committee. We had ABC liaisons come in, because what we wanted to do was provide a solution that was responsive not only to the city's needs, but responsive to public safety personnel needs, as well as responsive to the local business establishments. So for you today, your consideration is a crafted ordinance that is a result of great discussion and input from the community group and internal discussions, with a primary focus on business owner establishment performance standards and an administrative citation remedy. The administrative citation remedy is one that mirrors what we already have in place for the loud noise nuisances, and it is working. I believe to date, since May, there's only been 2 that we have had to deal with. So what we know is that when we're trying to get compliance through consequences, and we know that when the consequences is stated and actually implemented, it works. And so the administrative process is one that mirrors that, and it is our desire and hope that we can gain compliance through that. The committee is here to answer any questions, but to be very specific, this ordinance would repeal 1013. It would be codified in the city's municipal code, and it would be very specific to, again, performance standards, what the expectations are, as well as an administrative citation process if necessary. I also would like to add that in speaking with the Sheriff's Department and working with public safety staff, we noted that this ordinance would also allow for maximizing, if you will, the Sheriff's Department and those resources. So this is a tool. The committee would actually act as a peer-to-peer policing themselves, if you will, a group that would actually go out and be committed to working with those establishments that, may have some issues and that we may need to talk with, speak with, and help them kind of get into compliance and remedy some of the nuisance that may be created. One of the things that we learned in speaking with the Sheriff's Department was that there are some establishments who don't know the rules. And so this is an opportunity for us to work together and share what some of those rules are. For example, serving to a known drunkard is something that you will see called out in here, and the sheriffs will speak to that. There are some store owners who do not know that by law they are not supposed to do that. So we're really looking to actually provide an education to some of the store owners as well. What we truly believe is that those who want to be good business, be good neighbors, be good community partners will. And for those who do not, we have a remedy to deal with them as well. So I'm available, staff's available. Jocelyn and Lee, I had to thank them because they worked very hard with us in crafting the ordinance, and the committee, again, is here to answer any questions that you may have.
So I have a couple of questions. And it probably my own fault, but I don't have a copy of the ordinance that I've looked at yet. And maybe something that was sent to me and I did not identify it. But there are already laws. Here's what my question is, and I feel very strongly that communities should be made comfortable for people to, for law-abiding citizens to use and use them in a comfortable fashion. But I suspect that there are already laws prohibiting urinating on buildings and passing out drunk in the street and being loud and boisterous in public places. How does this ordinance, what does it add? In other words, there must be a problem that was not previously being effectively dealt with by the laws that are in place now that this in some way addresses. Lee, do you have or Jocelyn, what are we hoping to address that's not currently already on the books?
Currently, in the Municipal Code, Chapter 17.42, are the regulations concerning alcoholic beverage establishments. And although there is existing language in there about businesses operating under a conditional use permit or those that are essentially grandfathered in, they're called deemed approved locations. There are provisions in the existing chapter for revoking the CUP or losing your deemed approved status, but frankly, they weren't very they didn't have a lot of teeth. So it was hard to use them to address bad actors out there, liquor stores that are not operating properly. So part of this ordinance is to sort of beef up that language. And in adding the administrative citation provisions, it gives us another layer of enforcement ability rather than going to the draconian step right away of revoking somebody's CUP or their deemed approved status. Get them on notice, hit them in their wallet, see if that's going to get their attention and get them to act properly. We do have the public nuisance issues in and around liquor stores is a problem, well, in other establishments too. And we've been trying to address it sort of from just a standard law enforcement perspective. It's not always very successful. So we're hoping that this is going to really give us some teeth.
The other aspect of this, by working with the committee, is building in an intervention model first. So before we take those steps to move in a direction of being punitive, we want to have an opportunity for corrective action. So for those individuals like Toy talked about that aren't really aware of what the rules are or how it's applied. And again, so we saw that gap where we have issues where things are grandfathered and we have almost like parallel type enforcement issues going on. This is more to bring it together like we've done in other things, kind of things that we do in a lot of things in diversion and things as well now, is to have some type of intervention corrective model first before we take some punitive action. As long as we have a level of cooperation with those businesses, because obviously we want business to proliferate in our community, at the same time not create an atmosphere for an abusive process for people to be involved in alcoholism. That's, a huge issue. If you know someone that's an alcoholic, a known alcoholic or a known drunkard, you can't keep serving that person even when they're not intoxicated. That's actually in the law. So that's making people understand what the rules are as they operate. Also, from the committee to develop a good business model for those individual businesses, using things that's been successful for long-term businesses in this field in our area to put those same practices in place for other places we may be having difficulty with. So it's kind of an interesting collaboration. Again, it gives us a place, if we have a problematic issue, I'll use the homelessness issue right now we have. We work with LASA. We have an opportunity with them. If we get a complaint about some issues with the homeless folks, we have a plan in place that we've built a protocol that addresses that, where we call LASA and the homeless advocacy people that do that first intervention to gain cooperation at that point. So our enforcement effort is delayed, hoping to collaborate with those folks and get them to comply with whatever issue we may have. This is very similar.
Commissioner Brown, I'll also add that your question is very similar to what came up in the committee discussions. And what some of the retailers were saying was ABC governs us. And so we had a lot of discussion on that. We actually had the sheriffs kind of speak to that issue specifically because the resources of ABC are very limited, slim to none, if you will. And so this allows us a more localized effort to deal with the issue because ABC is not present.
So I'm always reluctant where there may be a situation that regulations are put in place which ask the private sector to do the public sector's work. I'm gathering here that this is actually the private sector that may be misbehaving. Am I correct in that?
In terms of the committee?
No, in terms of the establishments that are actually behaving in ways that are in violation currently.
I don't think I'm following the question. My apologies.
If you need teeth to the, as Jocelyn said, if you need teeth to the current rules, then apparently there are business establishments which are not conforming to the rules, and they need to correct their behavior rather than asking the business establishments to correct the behavior of the people who are coming there and behaving badly.
That's true. We do go after the individuals that, for example, are loitering in parking lots and panhandling and all of that kind of thing. But at a certain point, we have to address the business owner himself or herself, because they are ultimately responsible for what's going on their premises. Being able to address it directly with the business owner does give us a little more teeth. It gives a little more weight to the issue. And again, if they're faced with the possible loss of their deemed approved status, which means that they can't sell alcohol unless they come get a CUP from the city, which they may or may not get, that's a pretty big stick. So having that in place to go after the business owner, in addition to then this other layer of the administrative citation process that really addresses the people who are ultimately responsible.
Question. I'm slightly confused. I don't recall getting a copy of this ordinance, and if I did, I apologize. I didn't notice it and didn't
I think we got the public news when we took action on that before, but there's been changes that have been made.
Howard,
and
we're getting them copied for you right now.
Okay. Is this in any way related to a previous discussion we had regarding selling single beers? Is this the same subject matter?
Yes.
Okay, I do remember that part of it. So when I heard you talk, maybe I misunderstood. That is also in this ordinance that they cannot sell singles?
No. The ordinance that we are discussing today would be a repeal of 1013. So that would remove that from the books, if you will, and this would replace. So instead of a limitation on what size can be sold, what size containers could be sold, this would replace that.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, so this is for existing establishments and new establishments, or just existing?
For all establishments.
For all establishments. So we're going back to the thinking that establishments can sell singles?
Correct.
Okay.
And in singles, and there's a size.
I'm sorry?
There's a size. There's so many different sizes.
There would be no limitation on the size. Right. So my apologies. This ordinance, what we're presenting today would be a repeal of 1013. 1013 was the ordinance that was specific to container size limitations and what could be sold.
Okay.
So this would be a repeal of that, and this ordinance would replace that. And I apologize if I wasn't clear in the beginning.
Okay. So
no
there's
problem.
no limitation.
I fully understand.
Mr. Chair, may I add one thing to
Yes, sir.
what Toy said? When this was originally presented, the council adopted it effective January 17th, and if you said that, I apologize. And the council asked the community members who were there, who had some additional information, and staff and the chairs of Planning Commission, and I think a member of Criminal Justice, David Vieira, to get together and see if there was an alternative recommendation that would deal with some of the concerns the industry had, plus the concerns, the legitimate concerns council had as to the impact on public safety. So this is the work of several meetings with Councilmember Molly there to present an alternative to what the council's already adopted. The council was very clear to everyone that unless there's an alternative that's acceptable to the commissions and to the council that they can adopt before January, the single sale ban would be put in place. So this is an effort of that group to present, for lack of a better term, an alternative.
Thank you, Mr. Bozigian.
Can I ask a question? From what I'm hearing, you're attempting to repeal the single servings because it was a blanket over the entire city. So what we're trying to accomplish is zeroing in on those individuals that are actually the problem individuals and not penalizing the individuals that are not a problem for our consumers.
That would be correct.
Which makes sense.
That makes a lot more sense.
Makes a lot more sense.
I'm in agreement with that.
We have some speaker cards, so can I Toy, just in case we have some other questions, and I'd like to call some of the speakers up if that's possible. And then,
Thank you for your presentation.
thank you. Sam Alser, I'm sorry, did I pronounce that incorrect, sir?
Close enough.
Okay, well, I apologize. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here and hearing us. Again, my name is Sam Alsher. I'm a local businessman. I have a business that sells alcohol. I've been doing business and also living in Lancaster for the past 35 years. We started out with 1013, and practically 1013 doesn't work, and we're trying to come up with a better solution and yet address the issue of nuisance and all these problems that related to the sale of alcohol. We've been working closely with Toy and everyone, Lee and Jocelyn, and I want to thank them all, especially Mary, who drives to every meeting from Bakersfield. She heads our committee. We definitely opposed to 1013. We like the new ordinance. I do have some concerns, and I don't know if everyone has a copy of it. And I'll read it to you just in case you don't have a copy. Actually, I have 3 different items that I'd like to address if time's allows it. The first item, the removal of public phone. And it says the premise shall be maintained without the presence of exterior public telephones. Any existing public phone shall be removed within 30 days calendar from the effective date of the ordinance. First of all, it's not possible. Second, 30 days is, we speak from experience, it's not feasible. Probably takes 5-6 months to remove a phone, get the phone company to remove it. Second of all, we're trying to really prevent drug dealers. I have a problem with, I don't have a public phone at my business. My concern is these gas stations or supermarket, they have these public phones because things happen. A car breaks down. Somebody doesn't have a cell phone. You know, a teenager forgot to charge their battery, and we want him to be able to make a phone call and get help. You know, we can make it where they can't receive phone calls, or we can exclude gas station, mini mart. I really don't have a suggestion for it. I mean, I prefer not to have them, but I think we still have to consider the public safety. You know, most of the drug dealers now, they go to these small phone companies and they buy these services. And I told Toy a couple of weeks ago when we met, you know, I got one for my son. They don't require IDs or a credit check or anything. So any of these bad people can get a cell phone untraceable and make all the calls. So I just don't want to see the public being punished for something that, you know, they may use for an emergency. And I don't know how effective removing all cell phone or payphone. You know, if it's an issue, we'll remove it. I just have some concerns about it. Second item that I have a concern about, it says, I'm sorry, just give me a second. Establishment shall maintain signed refrigerator cases, promotional display away from windows. That's great, that works, but a lot of these retailers limited to size. They have equipment that has been placed in years ago, fixed to the ground.
Please get to item number 3 if you can. We're aware of the promotional stuff, so.
Well, it's not the promotional, it's the fixed equipment that I'm worried about.
Okay.
We can add the language that any variation should be approved by the city of Lancaster.
Appreciate it. What would be item number 3 that you would be concerned with?
Item number 3 is the fine. 500, 1,000. concerned that this might get out of hand. And the reason, and I'll explain it quickly. 500, 1,000, 1,000, it's great. We're trying to go after the bad businesses. Yes, by all means, let's go after that. We don't need them in our town. But there are circumstances beyond the retailer's control. And I'll give a couple of examples. And Lee is aware of this. Every time the trash company picks up the trash bin, they empty it, they make a mess in the parking lot. If an officer drives by, they see this and they cite the business for having trash outside. It's 500. It's beyond the operator's control. Just a couple of weeks ago, I've had 2 homeless people dig through our trash cans and looking for bottles and threw all the trash out in the parking lot. I just don't want these retailers to be cited for something beyond their control. I just don't want it to get abused. We do want to go after the bad retailer, the bad apples. That's why we formed a committee to work closely with the sheriff and department and the city, and we're looking forward to it. But not just, I think it's harsh. We want to make sure people make a living and they conform and, do everything they can. But let's not punish everybody across the board for few people that,
I appreciate your comments, and we got to get to other speaker cards, and so I appreciate
Thank you,
your
everyone.
comments, and we've
you.
noted, and maybe we'll address those during this meeting here. So appreciate it, sir. Thank you for Mary Truchell. Mrs. Truchell, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I just wanted to add that there's been a real effort on the group that met to compromise with what the city's looking for and not restrict the ability for people to run their business. And that was really the premise on how things came up. And then with these new, I believe you already have City Ordinance 1010 that addresses the conditional use permit piece. This addresses, I think, the behavior and the negative impact on the city as a whole on the deemed approved folks. I don't think their business ought to be restricted, whether it's single serve, it doesn't really matter what they're selling. It's the illegal type behavior, the nuisance behavior that this really addresses, and the committee worked really hard to find a compromise with the city, what they're looking for.
Ms. Trussell, did I hear you're from Bakersfield?
Yes, sir.
Does that mean you're from ABC, or you're just in
No.
the city? Okay.
I own W.A. Thompson Distributing here in Lancaster.
Okay.
We've been in business since 1959 in Lancaster.
All righty.
We're a wholesaler. The retailers are our customers. I'm here to support the industry as a whole. A lot going on. Packages change. You need to know that. Now we have 3-packs, and there are 2-packs, and there are 15-packs, and there are 9-packs, and there are all kinds of packages. So that really restricts the ability for people to do business. That's the behavior that they're looking for.
Do you think the new ordinance is an improvement over the old ordinance or not?
I think it's a very realistic compromise.
You would support the new ordinance?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Truchell, thank you so
Thanks.
much. Thank you for being here. Is it Merle McLaren? Did I get that right?
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Well,
Merrill McLernan, architect on the Boulevard for 20-something years, co-owner of Kinetic Brewing Company on the Boulevard, and part of this committee because I would send my beer to Mary and she would distribute it, so it's kind of a big family. This ordinance looks at the root problem. We have a behavior problem. We don't have a container problem. We have people that like that particular type of container that are a problem. This addresses them directly. There are many single-size liquor store sales places in the city, perfectly fine. No loitering, no vandalism, nothing. There are a few that are problems, and they are costing the city of Lancaster a lot of money. And you can't walk in there and buy a beer. You just can't do it. This addresses the problem of behavior directly, and it makes the business owner responsible for the situation they create. That's why I support it, both as a design professional and an owner of an alcohol establishment. It's a much better approach. What's interesting about this, if there are other business types in the city that have a similar problem, you just wrote the ordinance for them. It's right here. We can apply it. And she's already said that it works. And this is not punitive at all. We're looking for compliance. And we're looking for a tool for compliance. So I definitely strongly support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Merle. Appreciate it. Fran?
Good morning, Commissioners. Vice Chair.
Mike's going to fix that podium for you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oops, sorry.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
I think that's as low as that.
Okay. Excuse me. Good morning. My name is Fran Saras, and I think most of you know me by now. This is my first time coming to the criminal justice, and I'm also part of the committee, but I'm on the side of the citizens and how it appeals or how it refers to the individuals, the families and the people walking around these liquor stores and what they see and what they have to bear and see and watch what all this stuff is going on. I believe the commission, the new organization that they want to put together is a good thing because in my opinion and what I've noticed, it has two parts to it. Not only the citizens part, which is it'll keep vagrants away from the neighborhoods, or at least try to keep it away. But the second, and I think the most part, is what ABC board and even the owners of beer and wine and liquor seem to fall short on, is some of the owners that own these liquor stores, they're just ordinary people, and they don't know all the rules and regulations that it takes to own this type of an establishment. Sure, they have the rules from ABC, the ABC board, and they know they're not supposed to sell to youngsters under 21 or drunkards or this kind of thing. But by having this group of people, this organization that they want to form, it's going to have a place for the new owners or even the old owners that don't know all the rules, have a place to go to somewhere that they can get some answers. And what we are trying to do is be able to help them to run their establishment better in a cleaner manner, and also to protect not only the public, but protect the owners of these establishments by having visual, being able to see into their different liquor stores or different establishments, so that when the police, the sheriff go by, they can see what's going on. And basically, that's where I'm at with this thing. I think it's a good thing, but it's a cumulative thing that has to be done together. And if I can help in any manner, I'm here. Thank you very much.
Fran, as usual, thank you so much.
Yeah, friend.
Yes.
I'd like a challenge to your comment, but the business owner, they do know their conditions. Because I still have I'm a business owner too. When I received the license from ABC, it attached the conditions right on the back. Mm-hmm. If there is a lot of conditions comes with it, it comes with a separate page. If you want to hang post your license to your establishment, you have to read it.
But there also, sir, Mr. Kerr, there is also where some individuals don't understand all these.
I understand what you're saying, but the time goes by, it goes away.
But at least this program will have a place where they can go and ask these questions and they can get it clarified a little bit more, and I think that'll help. But
That's kind of a responsibility some business owners to have it. They gotta have it.
Right, and that's the reason why we're trying to do what we're doing is for that reason, so that
Correct.
the responsible owner has a place to go to be responsible for what it is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran, and everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no other speaker cards on this matter, so we can close the public hearing on that. Any discussions or?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. In regards to the issues that the gentleman named Sam had issues with, is there nothing in the ordinance, I'm just getting in and starting to read, is there nothing in the ordinance allowing for a warning or a smaller fine of $500?
There's nothing about a smaller fine. As a general rule, we're not going to issue a citation to a business owner on the first occasion because it is sort of a learning process or an educational process, I suppose. However, we don't want to codify that there's a certain number of warnings before you get, because we need to keep it nimble. We need to have all of the tools available at any time, and under the particular circumstances of a particular store, it might be appropriate, quite frankly, to go right to revocation, depending on the totality of the circumstances. So
Okay.
that's why that's in place in that.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with the fines. I think the fines are set in place by the city for the repeat offenders and, that have a problem. And obviously, $500, it seems to be a minimal amount for selling beverages, and a lot of business people I've talked to concur with that. But one of the things that he also brought up was public phones and removal of public phones from the locations. I'm a little surprised there's still public phones out there in a lot of these places, which surprises me. And what I understand is my only question to that would be, are these public phones that are on premises now, and if this ordinance comes into effect, that these phones have 30 days to be removed if this ordinance is adopted? Are some of these phones on contracts? In the past, it used to be a year contract, 18-month contracts. Are you breaking a contract, or is there leniency in something like that? I personally think, and from this, that public phones at this particular are no use to whatsoever. They should be removed. But again, my thinking is sometimes I see these things on contracts, and are we putting the owner of the property at risk?
Again, it's on a case-by-case basis. If a liquor store has a contract with AT&T for a public phone, obviously we're not going to require them to be in breach of their contract. We would expect, however, at the termination of at the expiration of that contract, that they would then remove that payphone. They wouldn't extend the contract or enter into a new one.
Perfect. And then as far as promotional displays, we're referring to promotional displays, things that are seen from the outside looking in?
Well, yes, there's already requirements in the business and professions codes regarding percentages, but we can get into a whole dialogue on what that could be and signage and how that relates to our ordinance related to signs and all of that. The reality of it is it's a safety issue for both patrons of the business, the clerks that work in those businesses, and a tool for law enforcement to be able to visibly see in there. That's why it even exists in the business and professions code. So what is reasonable and common sense approach based on reasonableness is really what needs to be practiced here. And what Sam was talking about is in some of the locations, like we were just in a location the other day, and they had a standalone reefer unit that was blocking a good portion of the window. So we worked with the owner about moving that to another location and worked that within there. So that's part of the issues that come there, because there are so many different items now, and there's always a competition for space in those display units and everything out there to display their product. The reality of it is, though, is that it already is a compliance issue with ABC. Okay, for alcohol sales, and we're just basically mirroring that with just a common sense approach based on how much visibility is at the front of the store.
I have a couple, another question, if you don't mind. I know that Councilman Malley has been very involved in this, and as a person that has a point of view or the perspective from the owner, you'd be in favor of this compromise. You think this is a...
Yes, absolutely. I think this is probably, we came up with really good, with a lot of help with all the business owners. So I'm definitely in favor of this.
Good, thank you. And Mr. Bozigian, did I understand that if the city council doesn't take an action on this, they cede control to the state? Is that what you were saying?
No, it was not, and I don't know the legal. Maybe Jocelyn can help. They passed an ordinance that will be effective in January of 2017. They stayed the effectiveness, giving this group time to come up with an alternative. I don't know if that falls into the state. It'd be a local ordinance that would take effect.
Thank you. It would appear that you guys have done an incredible amount of effort and very good thought into the assessment of this new ordinance, and I'm very impressed by the presentation. So thank you, guys.
Any other questions? Any questions for Toy? Any more
No, I
questions?
concur with Dr. Brown. I thought the presentation was good, and I appreciate the work you guys have put into it.
Toy, thank you so much. Councilman Molly, thank you, because I know you've been putting a lot of hours into
Actually, a
this.
lot of credit goes to Toy and Jocelyn and Lee because they put a lot of work and effort and a lot of time into
Always
this.
appreciative to Jocelyn and Lee and for what they do and continue to do for the city. So at this point, do we entertain a recommendation to the city council as far as this ordinance 1013 with new revisions? Is that, how do we do this?
This ordinance, this draft ordinance has not been assigned a number yet, but
Okay.
you can make a motion and vote on whether to recommend to City Council that they would adopt this new proposed ordinance, which in part repeals Ordinance 1013 and then adds these new provisions to Chapter 17.42.
So I'd make a motion that we support the adoption of the ordinance that we discussed here today.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second by Jen, was it her? No. 5-0 to move on to the city council level to see their next direction. So, moving forward, County of Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, Mike Ruiz. Well, we can welcome back Mike, because Mike's been gone serving our country, doing everything else that he does. And if I remember right, before he left, he referenced to me as the old guy, as an old person. If I remember right. Am I correct in saying that?
You have very sharp memory, Vice Councilman Little. I appreciate reminiscing down memory lane. However, I did correct myself. I was just mimicking and relaying the information that was to me. And
I can only imagine where that came from.
I should have vetted that correctly before I mentioned that. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. Thank you very much for that warm welcome. The Crime Report Commission for the month of August. Oh, I'm bouncing around here a little too much. Let me go back to the Burglary Suppression Team. Okay, there we go. Statistics for the Burglary Suppression Team specifically in regards to felony arrests for the month of August. We've had 11 recorded, along with search warrants of 6. Arrest warrants were 7, and 1 firearm was recovered for the month of August, and a total of $85,500 was recovered in stolen property. And for the Lancaster Suppression Team, give this a try. Very good, thank you. Felony arrest is 60 for the month of August. Misdemeanor arrest were 28. 16 firearms were recovered, along with 6 stolen vehicles, and an estimated illegal narcotics value of $9,837 was taken off the streets. Their narcotics team also themselves had 6 felony arrests. Almost 70 grams of methamphetamine were recovered and over 550 grams of marijuana, along with execution of 4 search warrants, and also recovered 3 firearms. And that's what I have at this point. I do have additional statistics for the robbery team. Last I recall, I think that was other information that was shared. And those number are as follows. For felony arrest with the robbery team, we had for the month of August was 14. One misdemeanor arrest, one firearm was recovered. They did a total of 7 search warrants. And for the month of August, they had 22 robberies. 10 of those were strong arms and 12 were strong arms and 10 were armed robberies. And those are the statistics that I have to share for you this morning. I can take any questions you may have.
Hey, Mike, what's the difference between a strong arm and an armed robbery?
Well, armed robbery has to do most of the time with a firearm or a knife or a weapon was involved. Strong arm has to do with an intimidation or force to retrieve that item from somebody.
Thank you.
Anything else? Vice Mayor?
Mike, on there, can you go back to your slide
Sure.
that for the amount, that one, the meth grams, how much is it street level for, how much does it cost for the meth?
You know what? Since I've been gone, the price has changed specifically, but inflation.
So
They
$100
traded
a
on the
gram?
stock market
About
or what?
$100 a gram.
And the marijuana?
Marijuana is normally a dime bag for about $10.
Okay, so now go back to the other, and it's $9,000. It seems like more. That the
Oh,
estimated
no, I'm
value-
sorry. That's the Lancaster team specifically.
Okay.
And then the other one was a narcotics team specifically. 2 different teams had 2 different.
Can we show the value on the other one next time?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I could do that. Any other questions?
Any questions?
Other than could we get the reports? I realize you just got back.
Sure.
But if we can get the reports before so we could look to them as well.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you very much,
What was the
Mike.
method of distribution? Directly
Email.
to
Email.
Actually,
Okay.
I think you emailed them to Linda,
Yeah.
and then she would distribute them to us.
Sure, no problem. I can do that.
Thanks a lot, bud.
Welcome back, Mike. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
we are.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
glad you're here.
And this concludes my report. Have a
you,
good
sir.
day.
California Highway Patrol. How are you,
good
sir?
morning.
How are you?
Good, very
Good.
well, thank you. And good morning to everybody. Just going to give you a real quick rundown on some of our efforts in the greater Antelope Valley area, not specific to Lancaster, but kind of give you an idea of what we're doing. Total enforcement contacts for last month, which is in August, we had a little bit over 1,500 enforcement contacts. And I know I get a lot of questions about whether or not the Highway Patrol gets verbal warnings, and we do. Last month alone, we issued a little bit over 500 verbal warnings. So that's a little bit over 3,300 for a year. So we do give verbal warnings. It's not always a ticket. Total accidents for last month, 138. I think a lot of that contributed to the fare. 12 of those were DUI related. Our motor services for last month were 472. Unfortunately, during August, we did have 1 fatal collision, bringing the total to 17 for the Antelope Valley area. We started off this month. You may have heard we had one on September 1st involving Caltrans on the 14 freeway, which was unfortunate. So we get a lot of traffic complaints all around the Antelope Valley area, including the 14 freeway. And we've initiated a special task force to kind of try and reduce the speed on the 14 freeway. So that's going to be ongoing until further we try to reduce it. We get a lot of complaints on the 38 as well, on the 138, especially with the construction zone. So we're working there as well. Try to redirect our resources where we best can. So, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Thank you, sir, for everything you do. Thank you. Appreciate it. District Attorney is absent today. Jocelyn, anything else? Or
No, I have nothing else today. Thank you.
Mr. DeRico, sir?
Wait a minute, I think you should ask her some questions, or get her off light here today.
She's an attorney.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Franklin's on military leave, so right now, Steve's pretty active in the Army Reserve, so, but he should be back for the next meeting. Okay, we're in the event season now here at the city. We just had a great event Saturday night, was Celebrate America. It was really well attended. But I think the focus is people, we have these great events. Our Parks Department works really, really hard to put on the beautiful event. But there's a lot of things that occur in the background with collaboration with Parks, the Sheriff's Department, Public Safety, to work together with our park rangers, our sheriff explorers, our sheriff volunteers, our deputy sheriffs, and public safety staff to create a safe environment, too, for participants. And I have to say that, again, with minimal issues, that we had an event with had thousands of people, and really just one person we had to deal with that really wasn't even something that raised to any high level. That's pretty amazing if you think about that with the events we have. So far we're doing really well. But we're in that season. We have Streets of Lancaster coming up, 3-day event. That's always very well done. And then just really want to emphasize the fact that there's a real focus in our community to making sure these events are safe, okay, based on everyone's collaboration. Okay, we're in a process right now for gearing up for holiday safety as far from our public safety office with community outreach through the city's website as well as social media and radio. Just really want to emphasize to folks, safety practices for their holidays with Halloween and Thanksgiving, then specifically as it relates to shopping in our shopping centers and just being aware of their surroundings and just even not leave things in their car, those type issues. We heard some interesting statistics last night from Mr. Totten, specifically as it related to some cities like San Francisco's theft rate is up over 600% this year. And that's usually a lot of that is related to thefts from vehicles. So where folks are locking their car but have items that are visible, where people are entering the vehicle, smashing the window, and taking items. That's really a huge issue this time of year as people shop throughout the community. We're really working hard right now currently with our neighborhood improvement program to address those quality of life issues, really operating behind that community-based policing model of cleaning up the neighborhoods to have the local folks in those neighborhoods take ownership. We've been on a real movement right now in removing vehicles that are obviously abandoned or creating safety issues or degradation issues in the community. We also are dealing with all kinds of issues with the broken window theory mindset behind that, that if we see a neighborhood that's declining, we're focusing and targeting that neighborhood to bring whatever resources we can bring to it to raise that standard of living in that neighborhood. Okay, and it's an interesting phenomenon as we start moving through, and I'll bring some pictures from before and after what we're seeing, but we have a relationship with waste management with bringing roll-offs there. We encourage the neighbors in the area to clean up their properties along with removing those abandoned cars and some of the unsightly issues there. And then you start watching the neighborhood start to come back together. Okay, we start seeing people taking more ownership of their properties and develop that, and which is a huge deterrent for criminal behavior in their neighborhoods. So we have a real emphasis on that right now. We've probably towed 30, 40 cars probably in just a matter of a month or so. Just cars that are abandoned, unregistered, in the street, flat tires, dirt and debris under them, animals living in them, all kinds of things that we're dealing with. So that's a real focus for us right now. We recently, the city hired 3 more parking enforcement aides. We were actually down to 1 parking enforcement aide. And where this is not important, like the city goes out, there's this misnomer that we make a fortune enforcing parking laws. That's not what we do. We issue as many warnings as we do citations. But one program that was really impacted was our school safety program for parent drop-off and parent pickup. And as you know, a lot of you that have lived here a long time, a lot of our older schools weren't really designed for vehicle traffic for student drop-off or pickup. So we really focus on putting our folks out there to ensure the safety of those students as they're dropped off and picked up from school by their parents, adhering to a safe practice of how we operate that. So that's really been good, and that's a re-emphasis for us now. So as we deploy those folks out as they go through their training process, they'll be working in areas and assigned to specific schools for that function. And so we really appreciate the city administration allowing us to put that in our budget this year and reinstate that. And then I think the biggest thing is for us is that we're going to continue to do the things we do. We work very closely with the Sheriff's Department and other agencies in our area, but specifically as it relates to crime. Pat is not one of these people that will beat his chest and talk about all the great things they're doing. And fortunately for us, this commission has a very close tie to the Sheriff's Department. But we're actually down a couple % last month in crime statistics, and some of the practices that the Sheriff's Department's implementing throughout the city is working at this point in time very well. So hopefully we'll continue to see that decline, and we'll have some good numbers for you at the end of the year.
Great. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Cap.
Question, when was the field of drafts, Lee? What date is that?
I'm sorry, November 5th.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think is that already sold out as far as the aspect of it? Yeah, that's a pretty popular event.
Ricker, how are you? Rick Cook.
I'm good. Vice Chair Mr. Little. Assemblyman Tom Lackey's office called right before they came in. They apologized for not being able to be here. The Assemblyman is in the district, and staff is accompanying him through different events. I wanted to let the Commission know and the public know that the Senate District 21 is still active and still working on constituent issues. The office is open 9 to 5 every day. We deal with DMV issues, which are the most popular. Medi-Cal, second most on our list, as well as California High-Speed Rail and Caltrans. With the death of Senator Renner, a lot of people thought maybe the office closed. I wanted to reassure everyone that the office is still open. We still represent the state of California, and we still deal with constituent issues. So, thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. Any questions? Anything from the LEAPS program? Any report?
I do distribute it.
Yeah. You want to comment? Any news or anything? No? That's good? All good? Good?
All good. Hopefully going to get a great sensor here very soon.
Great. Good. Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Vice Chairman, I'm sorry, I did want to mention, and I apologize for omitting it earlier, that the ordinance that you just reviewed and discussed is going to the Planning Commission next week, and we're hoping that they will also adopt a resolution to recommend it to Council, just FYI.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jocelyn. Okay, non-agendized items. I have one speaker card here, and it's, is it Juan Leo? Did I get that one right? No. Okay. I might as well go 3 for 3. Yeah.
Hello, City Commission. I understand I'm under the clock, 3 minutes, so if I don't get to finish up what I have to say, I'm hoping somebody will take the time to listen to me. In fact, I believe Mr. Bozigian just a bit ago said he would meet with me after. I want to speak to you about some disturbing policing practices going on in our neighborhood. Mr. DeRico claims that just recently there's been a neighborhood revitalization. I'm not sure if those are the exact words you're saying, that for homeowners to take ownership and stuff like that, and just, report and, unsafe vehicles and everything like that. Well, I wanted to make it clear. I've already sent a lot of, well, not a lot, but I sent a couple emails to Ms. T. Elping at cityoflancasterca.org. I tried CCing her an email recently. I wasn't able to. For some reason, it's been blocked or the account has been deleted. I'm not sure. But basically, I had several complaints. And again, once again, to be clear, I've sold my home. I have sold my home because despite my numerous complaints and of me expressing my concerns to the Sheriff's Department and to the RICO's office and to the city's office, but I got a response saying, the city doesn't care. They don't care. They don't want to do anything about it. If you don't like it, sell the house. I believe I've included that video on one of those emails. That's disturbing. That's disturbing. If someone is not sickened by that, I mean, for public officials, for city officials to send out a county official saying that they don't care about basically codes, ordinances, basic codes are put in place to protect the public health and safety. So for public servants to say that they don't care about public health and safety, in my opinion, has absolutely no business in the public service sector. Also, deputies lying on police reports. Police reports. I was falsely arrested on September 5th, 2014. The deputies that arrived to scene that night stated that there was no significant physical evidence. They marked the box no on that one. Significant physical evidence, no. But yet, in an email, by the way, that's despite my multiple attempts to hand them the videotape that proved my innocence. This is concerning the Lancaster group home, by the way. But yet, in the email, the video from my attorney to the district attorney's office stating the videotape is conclusive evidence that the alleged victim is lying. Why does your office continue to believe anything he says? And then he goes on to say something along the line, what is true is that the alleged victim continues to buy and sell used cars without a license. He does all this while he is collecting disability payments. In light of the videotape evidence, prosecution, the criminal case filed against Mr. Liao is at the very least unwarranted and at worst malicious. So I want to know why the deputies did not include the videotape that included that proved my innocence as to the charges concerning the Lancaster group home.
Those are things that you can discuss. If Mr. Bozigian said he would meet with you
right,
or any other city official, they'll be more than happy to, sir.
I thank you for that. And I actually wanted to speak to the DA's office, but
well,
I mean,
we thank you for your comments.
And I thank him for his service. I believe
thank you, sir, for coming. All right, thank you so much.
Mr. Little, just for the record, that I did speak with the gentleman that just spoke, and we did look at some of the other complaints that he has. We've investigated it thoroughly through all channels, and we're continuing to do that. So we're in the process of doing it.
Mr. Vice Mayor, thank you, sir. Any commissioner comments?
I'd just like to invite everyone out. We're having our Sheriff Boosters Golf Tournament October 3rd at the Antelope Valley Country Club. So if any of you are interested, we'd love to have you.
Say Monday.
Monday, I'm sorry, October 3rd.
Monday, October 3rd is our big fundraiser. Yeah, the Antelope Valley Sheriff Boosters. Yeah, absolutely. That's right, Aaron. So all proceeds go to the Sheriff's Department. Anything else? Lisa, hopefully congratulations on getting to the, make that change up there, huh?
It's a pretty nice mission.
All right, at that, we will adjourn the meeting until, when's our next one? October 12th, 2016?